Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. Today's video is going to be about my top practical and streetwise tips on surviving in Uganda. I'm just going to jump straight into the point, starting with 5 practical and then moving on to 5 streetwise. Okay, so my first practical tip is to take some cash with you ready to convert at a forex bureau. I usually take around £100 cash just so that I don't have to incur bank charges for an ATM withdrawal. At least I don't start off by paying for my money. At least then I know I've got some money to start me off, and you can usually get some pretty good rates. If you happen to need cash after that first £100, you can always go to an ATM. Yes, you will incur charges, but it will be worth it for the peace of mind that you'll get in knowing that you don't have big sums of money lying around. I really don't encourage carrying big sums of money around. I say budget for the week. The next week you can go and get some money out. It's always worked for me best that way. I would never take out the whole amount of money that I need for a whole trip, and I usually go for a minimum of 2 weeks. One of the reasons I take cash with me is because I'm not a Ugandan citizen, therefore I have to pay for a visa. That costs £30. They have cut the price in half. It used to be £60 last year, but the government saw that maybe it was too much for people, so they cut it in half. So you are in luck if you want to go to Uganda, because the visa prices have dropped, which is great. If you're traveling with dollars, it's going to be $50. So it's either £30 or $50 for the visa, and you pay that right at the airport. They stamp your passport, and it's pretty easy. It's a pretty simple process. Okay, so my second practical tip for surviving in Uganda is to buy a Ugandan SIM card. Don't go using roaming on your phone, because that will cost a bomb. You are better off buying a Ugandan SIM card. I'm on MTN. I do have an Airtel SIM card as well, but I just don't use that. Airtel and MTN are the names of the networks. So I do have an Airtel SIM card as well, but I don't use that. I did buy it because I had a modem, or a dongle as we call it here. They call it a modem there. It's basically a USB stick that you can use for internet on your laptop. I find most people are on MTN, so it does kind of work out better if you are texting or calling people from the same network. I usually buy a 20,000 shilling scratch card, or like airtime card, and that usually lasts me a couple of days. With 20,000 shillings you can buy a 500 MB monthly bundle, but that does not last a whole month. If you are uploading pictures to Instagram or to wherever you share your pictures, that is going to take up quite a lot of MBs, and you will finish your credit quite quickly. I just find it very, very convenient to have access to the internet because of WhatsApp, messaging people on Facebook Messenger, and all the rest of those other social medias. It's just kind of easy. If someone's like sending you a message, you know you've got an internet connection, and you can reply to them, or you can reach out to them whenever you want to. But what I quickly realized about these 20,000 MB bundles, it's actually better to buy the 5,000 and the 3,000 bundles on a daily or bi-daily basis, because the 500 MB monthly bundle has only ever lasted me 2 to 3 days. So you're much better off buying daily bundles. Okay, so my third practical tip is to buy malaria tablets upon arrival. This is what I've been doing for the past 2 or 3 trips, probably 2 trips actually. The last time I went, I just got the weekly tablet, because the daily ones make me feel quite nauseous. I believe the daily tablets are called doxycycline. I would take them and they would make me feel quite nauseous. And although I was prepared to actually put up with it this time, my aunt actually just suggested to get a weekly one, and I didn't have any problems with it whatsoever. They were much more expensive, but it was worth it for the fact that I had that freedom and I didn't have to really think about taking my malaria tablet every single day. If you do choose to opt for the daily tablet, then my suggestion, my advice would be to take it just before you go to sleep. I had to take the daily tablet just before I went to sleep, just so I could avoid feeling nauseous, because the minute I take that tablet, I just start feeling nauseous. But if I take it just before I go to sleep, literally just lie down and just try to fall asleep, then I'm good to go. By the way, it's so important to take those malaria tablets. You do not want to get bitten by mosquitoes and then fall ill. Malaria is a very serious thing. It's quite life-threatening. Obviously, if they detect it soon enough and you get proper treatment, you can recover from it, but never take malaria lightly. It's quite serious, so always make sure you're protected. Always take these precautions. Another thing is, at the moment there has been an outbreak of yellow fever, so they are making everybody who comes into the country get a yellow fever vaccination. So as we got there, they asked us, do you have your yellow card? Obviously we didn't have a yellow card because we didn't get a vaccination. They said, before you leave this country, before you leave Uganda, make sure you have your yellow card. So we went to the hospital and we got our yellow fever vaccination. Kind of expensive. It was more than 100,000 shillings. It was like 120 or 30,000, 130,000 shillings from the hospital, which is around 25 pounds. I found that to be an unexpected expense, but since they said we had to have it, and since it was for the sake of protecting us, I thought, all right, let's go and get it. Sorry about the change of position, but I had to quickly change because I realized that it was quite dark. My fourth practical tip is to travel with antibacterial wipes or hand sanitizer. I actually prefer wipes because it's got the water in it, it's got the towel effect, and so it's actually like rubbing off, you know, sweat and dirt off your hands, whereas with sanitizer you're just adding more liquid onto your hand. I know it does sanitize your hands, but I feel like wipes, antibacterial wipes, are more effective. I always find in hot countries I'm always wanting to wash my hands, especially if you're like greeting a lot of people, shaking a lot of people's hands, and then you're eating food or whatever. You just need to be clean. You just need to make sure you always wash your hands, or at least have those antibacterial wipes on you so that you do not get sick. You don't want to get sick when you're on holiday, or even if you're just going home. You don't want to spend your time on a toilet or like in bed because you've gotten a bug. It's not nice. So always wash your hands and always travel with antibacterial wipes. It's a very dusty country. There's dust rising everywhere you go, and you're gonna have dust in your hair. Literally, like the day that I came back, I washed my hair and all the dust, all the Ugandan dust, literally orange dust, came out in the water. I was like, wow, no wonder it felt so scratchy, like no wonder. So it's a very dusty place. Make sure you take those wipes with you. Sometimes you can even use them to wipe your legs if they get dusty. Okay, so my fifth practical tip is to always travel with a torch. One thing I noticed about Ugandan phones, the phones that they sell in Uganda, is that even if it's the most basic, simple, literally like 20,000 shilling, which is like £5 phone, it has a torch in it. You know why? Because the streets are dark. There's barely any street lighting, and things can get quite dangerous at night if you really don't know your steps. I think Ugandan people naturally have that walking instinct of, you know, feeling their way around the rocks and around the areas that they live in. If you're used to kind of walking all carefree on flat ground with a well-lit path, going to Uganda will be a surprise for you, especially if you go into the neighborhood. Downhill, uphill, you're gonna need a torch. Luckily for most smartphones, if you have a smartphone, they have a built-in torch. I just had my iPhone, it has a torch on it, and so I use that a lot for when I was walking at night, and it was really helpful. I would rather be able to see my path than to only be able to kind of make it out by squinting and then trip, and it's just not nice. Make sure you always have a torch to light your path at night.